With Rob Lewis, Brent Hubbs, Volquest.com, it's time for the Exterior Home Solutions Fast Break as Tennessee wraps up the pre-conference schedule with an easy 87-50 win over Norfolk State. Rob Lewis, what do we take away from Tennessee's knock off the rust game following the Christmas holidays?
I mean, I thought there was a lot to like when you consider that, they had an 11-day break between games. They went home for, 5 days over Christmas, which is a really long time. And I think anytime, you're away that long and when you've had that kind of a break during the middle of the season, you wonder about rust, you wonder about focus and execution. And to me, that was the most impressive thing, Hubbard, is how, Tennessee was locked in from the start, really, executed at a high level on both ends of the court. And I think to do that, after so much time off is a sign of a mature team.
How much do you think this team needed a 5 day break? I mean, this is a long grind, and they've played a very competitive, highly intense preseason conference schedule. When you look at the trip to Maui, you look at the exhibition game at Michigan State, Wisconsin, Illinois, the games that they played. Is this feel a little different, Rob, that maybe they needed a break, even though they're a veteran team? Just because of the way, North Carolina, the way that the preseason has gone for Tennessee or pre-conference slate has gone for Tennessee?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And it's really not something that I had, necessarily thought about it. I mean, when you speak it, it makes a lot of sense, as you just did, what they, going back to August. But, talking to Coach Barnes, he felt like it, it really did them a lot of good. And I mean, think about how wild this is. I mean, the guy's been coaching since, Andy Griffith was a new television show coming out every week. And he told this is the first time he's ever had 5 days off for Christmas. And after having done it, he's of the mind that that should be an NCAA rule. I mean, he enjoyed it so much. He thought it was so good for his kids. And he thought it was so good for his kids because of what you just said, Brett. I mean, they were in Rome for, or in Italy for, a week. Then they fly back home to the US 6, 8 weeks later, they're flying to Hawaii. Then they come back from Hawaii and immediately go on the road to Chapel Hill. So yes, long answer. Yeah, I think that they really did need the break, and I think it was good for them.
Dalton Connect got going again, and we had not seen him. He had been, quote, struggling, if you want to call it that, in terms of scoring. He gets 15 points, but he scores 13 in the first half. What did you like from Connect after the break and the layoff to kind of for him to reset? What did you like? What you saw?
Well, I thought he just got back to being more aggressive. I don't know if I'm not saying he wasn't that aggressive in the last few games. Actually, I mean, but he looked like, he wasn't as assertive as he was, and we saw him early in the season. And I think some of that is probably the way teams are playing him. He's the focal point. I mean, they're making sure to get bodies on him to try and be physical with him. But I mean, he was 4-21 in Tennessee's 3 games before tonight. He comes out, as you said, he scores 15. He got 13 of them in the last 7 minutes of the first half. I mean, he was a flamethrower out there, and a big part of why Tennessee went on that decisive run in the last 6, 7 minutes of the first half. And in talking to Coach Barnes after the game, he feels like those 3 game struggles starting with NC State when Connect for the first time all year wasn't in double digits 3 games in a row. Felt like he really learned some things there. Felt like he saw what teams wanted to do to him, and he figured out what some counters to that needed to be. Now, this is Norfolk State. We'll see, but I mean, he had also struggled against Tarleton State and small schools prior to tonight. So I think for him to kind of have some success the last time out before SEC play, I think that's a real positive.
Robbie, it was the guy Ziegler scores, Josiah Jordan James stuffs the stat sheet again. Tennessee has 23 assists on 30 shots. Listen, you should beat Norfolk State. You're a better basketball team. When you start to shift your mind towards the conference schedule, what we've seen, Ole Miss is undefeated. A lot of people are trying to figure out who they are. Where is this team right now? What do you think are the biggest positives and the biggest concerns for this team heading into conference play?
I think the biggest positive is easy. I mean, how battle tested they are. I mean, I don't. There may have been some teams that have played as tough of a schedule, but what the field was like in Hawaii and then come back to North Carolina, going on the road there. I don't think anybody has played a tougher schedule. And I think Coach Barnes with the veterans, I mean, he's got a pretty good handle on what he has. Now, I don't want to make too much of it because clearly the head coach isn't worried about it. I'd like to see him be a little deeper than 8. And they, JP Estrella played 12 minutes tonight. I don't know if that's Norfolk State. I don't know if that's, he's really, made a move in practice and he's legitimately be a third post guy that plays a couple of rotations a game. But, I think they could be a little thin, and I don't I don't want to say it's an Achilles heel. I mean, we're talking about the 5th ranked team in the country. I mean, I guess we're talking about, what might keep you from making a Final Four, not what really worries you. And depth maybe to me, I think I would like to see him go a little more than 8 routinely. But man, the veterans on this team, Hubbard, I think it's hard to overstate just how much of a sense this team has of what they need to do to win. When you've got guys like Josiah, like Santiago, and Santiago, by the way, tonight 300 career pointers. Chris Lofton, Allen Houston, only 2 guys have done that. It's pretty good company in this in this program. Pretty strong. But I just can't stress enough the veterans, Hubbard. That's what if I look at this Tennessee team, that's what I like the most. Just guys that have been through it and been on the road in big games, been in postseason in big games. You got 3 guys who were huge parts of an SEC tournament championship team, that are still on this roster. I think there's a lot to like about the veterans. And one thing I think we were probably, I don't know, worry might be too strong of a word in the preseason. Did they have post offense? I mean, we know post defense with Jonas and Tobe is stout. Can they dump it inside and get a bucket? Jonas has not been great the past couple of games, but I think he's proven he's taken a step in that direction. And Tobe, double tonight. He's come a long way as an offensive player. And he's not get you 11 points every night, but he's a guy that these days, I mean, you can call a play for it. You can dump it down to him on the block and reasonably expect something good to happen.
Yeah, and a guy who's come a million miles as a free throw shooter, which could pay dividends for this basketball team as well. Tennessee wins big time, comfort, cruising to an 87-50 win over Norfolk State. It's off to SEC play on Saturday as Tennessee hosts Ole Miss. We've got full coverage of the win tonight. We'll obviously have full coverage of the start of SEC play as well. That's going to do it for this edition of the Fast Break, presented by our good friends at Exterior Home Solutions. For Rob Lewis, I'm Brett Hubbs. Have a great rest of your evening, everybody.
Your roof, it's the most important protection against nature for your home or your business. That's why I trust the experts at Exterior Home Solutions.